Tuesday, 21 July 2026. 3 Asia-Pacific AI stories before your first coffee. Asian startups raised $42.8 billion in Q2 2026, the strongest quarter in more than 3 years, with AI capturing over 60% of the total at roughly $26 billion, a regional record. China accounted for more than $30 billion of the headline figure, powered by DeepSeek's $7.4 billion round at an estimated $50 billion valuation. Deal counts, however, fell toward a multi-year low, signaling that capital is concentrating in a shrinking number of large names rather than spreading across the ecosystem. Why it matters? The numbers confirm that Asia's AI funding cycle is now a top-heavy game. Capital allocators are writing fewer, bigger checks, which rewards scaled players like DeepSeek and squeezes early-stage founders competing for the same limited partner dollars. For builders outside China, the implication is that fundraising timelines lengthen unless you can show traction that justifies mega-round economics. Regulators across the region should watch the concentration risk. When a single company's round represents nearly a fifth of total continental startup funding, policy exposure to one entity's trajectory grows fast. The second-order effect worth tracking is whether Southeast Asian and Indian AI startups start routing capital raises through Middle Eastern or U.S. co-investors to offset the gravitational pull of Chinese mega-rounds. Okay, see, NAVER and NVIDIA announced plans to build a gigawatt-scale AI factory at the GAC Sejong complex in South Korea, with the first phase opening at 55 megawatts, and NAVER Cloud deploying more than 60,000 NVIDIA GPUs over time. The facility is designed to support sovereign AI workloads and physical AI development, anchoring Korea's push to keep critical inference and training capacity on domestic soil. NAVER's Hyperclove X large language model will be fine-tuned on NVIDIA's Nematron 3 Ultra, with an AI agent platform scheduled for the second half of 2026. Why it matters? Korea already dominates high-bandwidth memory through Samsung and SK Hynix, and a domestic gigawatt-class compute campus closes the loop between chip fabrication and model training inside one national perimeter. Builders working with NAVER Cloud get a sovereign inference option that sidesteps U.S. hyperscaler dependency, a selling point for Korean government and financial services contracts where data residency is non-negotiable. Capital allocators should watch 2 pressure points: whether Korea's grid can actually deliver sustained gigawatt-level power to a single campus, and whether domestic enterprise demand scales fast enough to fill that capacity before export customers in Southeast Asia become the real revenue driver. Now, the International Labour Organization published a new study finding that nearly 80 million workers across ASEAN, roughly 22.9% of all jobs in the bloc, are now exposed to generative AI. Only 3.3% of roles, about 11.7 million positions, sit in the highest exposure category, and the report finds no evidence yet of large-scale job displacement. Exposure varies sharply by market. Singapore leads at 42.2% of jobs exposed, while Thailand and Vietnam sit closer to 20%, reflecting the gap between service-heavy and manufacturing-heavy economies in the region. Why it matters? This is the most granular labor exposure map Southeast Asia has had, and it gives regulators and workforce planners a baseline they previously lacked. Capital allocators sizing AI deployment bets across ASEAN now have country-level data to weigh automation upside against political and social risk. One finding that deserves close tracking: women are more than twice as likely as men to hold the most exposed roles, which means any productivity gains from generative AI adoption will hit gender fault lines in clerical, administrative, and customer-facing work first. Governments designing reskilling programs or AI governance frameworks, particularly in Singapore, the Philippines, and Malaysia, will face pressure to address that asymmetry before displacement materializes at scale. That is your AI in Asia briefing for today. Stay sharp, feel well, see you tomorrow.